Hi, Heidi.
Hi, Erin.
Appreciate you taking the time to do this. And, just wanted to, you know, meet you on camera and find out a little bit about what you do, how you got into it. And so if you can just start with a little background about yourself and your practice and, how you got into it.
Oh, I love that. Well, thanks for inviting me on this today. I actually started my whole career in event planning. And so I started back about, I don't even know how long ago, but I was in event planning for about 16 years and planning corporate trips all over the world. And I loved my job. And then somewhere in the mix, I moved to California with my ex-husband, then husband, and we decided to eventually part ways, got a divorce. And I thought, you know what? This is going to make life easier. It's going to make life lighter. And I couldn't have been more wrong. It was the hardest thing I've ever been through. Um, and I used my event planning job to really become a workaholic and just pour myself into my job and not worry about anything else. And quickly realized, not quickly, slowly realized that none of the distraction tactics or healthy tactics that I was trying to use to get over divorce were going to work very well. So I then actually hired a life coach to jump on board with me. And in doing that, realized that I wanted to become a life coach and help more people and alleviate the pain that I had felt so deeply. And within 2 months of going through this year-long healing process, I felt like a totally different person. So I knew that it was time for me to leave my event job and show other people in pain how to move forward faster from their pain. And at the time, I didn't really know anybody who was doing it with divorced women. So I thought, this is the path I'm going to go. So ended up getting fully certified as a divorce coach and picked up a couple of other tools along the way and then built out my whole program. And here we are today. So that's kind of me
Awesome.
in a
In a
short little
nutshell.
snippet.
Yes, yes. Well, awesome. And, I think what you're doing is there's such a need out there because women are different than men in our emotional needs.
Yeah.
And the men can move forward if two men have an argument, they're fine 5 minutes later. Two women have an argument, not so much. That's my opinion. So
Yeah, and I think people process it differently too. What I found is a lot of women prefer to navigate this process in groups with other people in community. And it's something I didn't really realize in the beginning, but quickly realized that it was going to fast track me to healing. And I think men tend to compartmentalize, don't necessarily want to share, at least in a group setting. And so I think that the journey through divorce is just processed so differently for many men and many women, not all, but
not all.
many.
Mhm. And obviously, like you just said, that nothing applies to everyone, but and each divorce is different and
Yes.
unique, and depends on the players and the outside players and all that. If you could change anything with your divorce or could give somebody a hey, a heads up, or just what would your advice be for somebody just considering a divorce?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, at least in hindsight, right? I would say sit with yourself. Sit with yourself and see what's going on with you, because it's easy when you start feeling conflict to blame or need to find somewhere to put it. And for me, I didn't realize that so much of what was happening was partially my own feelings about myself, and I didn't uncover that and discover that until I was much too far down the road. But I could have learned a lot more about how I wanted to navigate the process and made it a lot easier on myself had I gone, hold on, what's going on with me right now, and not just looking at my partner and going, oh gosh, whoo, can't do this anymore.
You're sitting
There
in
was
the
a lot of
blame and you're not sure who to blame, and
Yeah, I really and a lot of people don't realize until they go down the healing path that once you can take some ownership of it, it provides a ton of clarity and a ton of empowerment to make a more informed, clear, healthy decision for yourself. And you may still trail down the path of divorce. I think I would have anyways, but I think it would have felt drastically different had I known what I was actually going through on my end.
Well, and what you've told me before is coming out the end, and what's your next step, that's where you can really help, okay, the divorce is final, now what? And now who am I and what do I do? And
Yeah. I think the other thing, Erin, is I would tell folks to look for divorce distractors. Once you kind of decided where you're at, what path you're going, it's going to be really, really easy to distract yourself from feeling what you're feeling in the moment. It's going to be really easy to want to hide and isolate or mask what's going on instead of letting the right resources and folks in who can really expedite the process of moving forward or moving through, right? And I didn't even know the slew of resources that were out there. Folks like you, folks like financial experts, folks like different kinds of attorneys and mediation and co-parenting resources. There are so many resources that I was unaware of. I literally just sat down and Googled divorce lawyer California because I had no idea where to start. So in today's day and age, I think that it's just important to partner up with someone who can go, hold on a second, let's see where you're at, let's see what you need, and let's align you with some really, really great resources so that you don't have to be stuck in the mud for so long.
absolutely, because it's not just the attorney, you need the whole team. Because like you said, there are so many components, whether it's the marital property or the pension or retirement account, and one person can't be an expert in all areas. And the
That's
emotional,
right.
we need you, we needed possibly a counselor, all of that is so important. So if you had to tell somebody, okay, where would you go to find these people, or to create your team, or would you let somebody else create it for you, or what would you suggest, I guess?
Oh my gosh. Well, the first of all, the whole process can be extremely overwhelming because you're feeling a very, very vulnerable. So number one, most of us don't feel like talking about it with other people. And number two, like I said earlier, most of us don't know where to go. So it's actually perfect timing. I personally am putting together a divorce women's network, a hub of resources. And if you think of like a wheel, all the spokes of a wheel, the different areas that you might need to bump into along the way. Um, but I really, really believe that engaging with the experts in the area of litigation and mediation is huge from the get go, but also the financial piece, like you said, and all the things that you help folks with. It's understanding all of your assets and what you have, especially if you're going through a very toxic situation. It is critical and crucial that you know what's happening behind the scenes, especially if you were like me, where your spouse handles most of the money, all the paying of the bills, all the different areas. It can be really overwhelming. And if you don't do it right before you get to the signing line, it is going to be a heck of a battle once you've signed to go back in time. In fact, a lot of people lose a lot of their assets because they aren't aware, number one, of what is happening behind the scenes, but number two, the right questions to ask. So it's really important that people have these designations like you have behind your name, all these designations that are specific to people who are divorced or navigating divorce, to make sure that those experts know what questions to ask, because it's too overwhelming for someone in that situation to
Right.
know all the right questions to
Right,
ask.
right. And how do you determine what is truly equitable? If you try to do this yourself, you know, how do you know that it's apples to apples? You've got the equity in the house and you've got the equity in a retirement account. They're not the same.
That's it.
So, or most likely are not. So yeah, it's really important.
I
So,
think a lot of times too, people don't even understand what kinds of accounts they have, right? We may have relationships with people who we just got connected with through our jobs or whatnot, and never really took the time to understand the intricacies behind the assets that we have, behind the accounts that we have. So to have somebody in place and go, whoa, that's really sweet. You've got all of these things, but let me handhold you through the process to understand what you've got, what you need now. And then you and I have talked about even what you might be able to negotiate so that you're set up for the future. And a lot of the times we're leaving out that future focus because we're just so caught up in, I got to get through this.
I,
I have to figure
yeah,
out what's going on now. And I can't handle even thinking about what's next.
right.
So
I just
having
want to be done
somebody
with
now.
that person and this part of my life, but what's going to happen 5 years, 10 years down the road? And, are you going to have regrets? So absolutely.
That absolutely. Yeah.
And you've shared a little bit about your situation. And is there another case that really sticks in your mind or really had an impact on you? And can you tell me a little bit about it?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. There's so many. And I'm always really careful to protect client
Right,
privacy.
absolutely.
But, from first of all, from my own experience, when I was going through divorce, I literally, like you said, I threw my hands up in the air and went, okay, I just signed the paperwork. What now? What next? Who am I? I didn't know who I was without my significant other. And it wasn't that I had too much codependency. It's just that sometimes in relationship, even friendship, you morph into this thing. And when that person is no longer available, whether it be divorce or death or just separating of ways, that relationship can leave you going, shoot, I don't know what kind of friend I am or partner I am or human I am without these other people surrounding me. So I think it's really, really important. I know for me, I was in a high paying job, in a six-figure job, climbing the corporate ladder, and I woke up feeling like I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to navigate life. And I wasn't that kind of girl. I was a go-getter, know what you want, organized, like boom, boom, boom. And I woke up feeling so paralyzed by my pain that I didn't know what direction was up, down, left, right. I just didn't know. So that's my own story, but I also didn't ask for help. I didn't know where to get help. I didn't want to go to therapy, and I had no idea what coaching was. So, what I wanted to create for women in this space was a safe space to navigate the what steps now. So I call it the roadmap, the resources, and the relationships that you need
I
to
like
actually
that.
take your next best step. Right. Because we can sit there all we want, but if we don't know what the map says or how to get there, there's a specific process that I use with my clients to get them in the direction that they want to go. It's not just kind of this made up woo woo thing. It's like, these are the exact
Absolutely.
steps, which I think is super important. And that's why I label myself your divorce planner because there's strategy behind these healing steps. The other thing is relationships. A lot of times you feel so alone. So this is one of the top things that all of my clients across the board say is that having a place to go where other women are navigating exactly what you're navigating and want to go in the direction that you want to go and you want to grow, and then have a safe space to talk about it. It's untouched. It is really really, really important because it can feel like such a lonely process. It can feel like you're
Absolutely.
the only one out there and you're looking around going, where are all the other divorced women
Right.
at?
And
Right.
how do I go through this? And I don't know who to talk to. I don't want to talk to, my coworkers or my family because they're going to give me, whether it's their advice or judgment or, and I'm so sorry you had to go through that, but what a wonderful needed result this has come from your pain is, and you're so strong to just, create this so needed resource for people.
Yeah, and really the idea is a one-stop shop, right? Somebody to tell me the game plan, somebody to connect me with resources, right? Like the spoke of the wheel,
Right.
and somebody to help me build relationships with other people who are in the same phase. I kind of equate it to the new mom. You know, I've never been a mom, but I've heard from all my mom friends that if you are a new mom and you say I'm a new mom, you know there's sleepless nights, you know there's breastfeeding, you know there's daycare things and mommy and me things, and you don't know until you get into that world. But saying I'm a new mom, new moms know what that means without having to say much. Same thing when you're divorced, but if you can find a safe space to say that you're divorced and then get that kind of receiving and coaching and navigating, that feels so nurturing versus being like, I am out here on the island and there's
Right,
nobody
right,
else who gets it.
right. Oh, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate your time, and I can't wait to see your workshops and your different, events that you have planned. If somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to find you?
Oh my goodness. There's a couple ways. I'm everywhere on social media. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook at Your Divorce Planner. So they can message me there. I play in that space. They can get a feel. I have a podcast. You can search any platform, just search Your Divorce Planner and it will pop right up so you can get a flavor for the kinds of things that I serve with. And then my website is Your Divorce Planner Hub, HUB.com. So just go there. It's got everything. It's got we're launching our next 4-month growth group in September. So we actually just opened up enrollment today, Erin, just
That's
today.
awesome.
So this is
Perfect timing.
perfect
Perfect
timing
timing.
for folks to bop in and get a spot in there.
Well, great, great. Thank you, Heidi B. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to, possibly doing a roundtable and, brainstorming more ways of how we can help people. So
Thank you for all you do, Erin. We appreciate
yeah,
you
I
in the
appreciate
divorce
it.
world
Thank
and
you so
beyond.
much.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All
Take
right.
care. Bye.